For decades, whispers have circulated in the shadowed corridors of power. These are not tales of fleeting lights in the sky, but of something far more tangible. They are stories of physical craft of non-human origin retrieved from the American landscape, hidden away from public view. The United States government cautious skepticism, outright denial, is rumored to be the custodian of the most profound secret in human history. This secret involves the retrieval and study of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, that have crashed or been brought down. The implications are, honestly, staggering, suggesting that we are not alone. This video will take a look at what we know about the craft retrieval operation. Do you like learning about this type of history? Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have more videos that pertaining to this subject. Thank you. The story of Roswell. It began in early July 1947 near a ranch in the desolate landscape of New Mexico. A rancher named W. Mac Brazel discovered a vast debris field. It consisted of lightweight metallic foils that could be crumpled into a ball, then spring back without a single crease. There were also small I-beams with purplish hieroglyphic-like symbols etched onto their surfaces. The strangeness prompted Brazel to report his findings to the local sheriff, who contacted Roswell Army Airfield, home of the 509th Bomb Group. On July 8, 1947, Walter Haut issued a press release under orders from Colonel William Blanchard. It stated the Army had come into possession of a flying saucer. The news flashed across the country. The Roswell Daily Record ran the headline, "RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region." But that confirmation was short-lived. Within 24 hours, the official narrative was completely reversed. Brigadier General Roger Ramey held a press conference and presented debris to the press. He claimed it was a common weather balloon with a radar reflector. Witnesses claimed the original exotic materials were swapped out. Major Jesse Marcel, who had collected the debris, later said the displayed material was not what he'd recovered. The weather balloon story became official, and Roswell faded for decades until reinvestigation reignited the mystery. In the late 1970s, researchers like Stanton Friedman reinvestigated, interviewing witnesses about unearthly materials and heavy military presence. Witnesses like Glenn Dennis, a mortician, said he was asked about child-sized coffins. Others described a second crash site with a more intact craft and non-human bodies. These testimonies suggested a far deeper event and a deliberate government campaign to suppress the truth. The Roswell story remains central, a nexus of witnesses, documents, and unanswered questions. On the evening of December 9, 1965, a brilliant fireball tore across the sky over at least 6 U.S. states and Ontario, Canada. Thousands of witnesses saw the object, described as a blazing meteor trailing a fiery tail. But for the residents of the small town of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, this was no distant celestial event. They reported that the object seemed to change direction and slow its descent before crashing into a wooded ravine just outside the town. Volunteer firefighters were among the first to arrive at the crash site. They described finding an object roughly the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, shaped like an acorn, made of a seamless, bronze-colored metal adorned with strange markings resembling Egyptian hieroglyphics. Armed military personnel quickly cordoned off the scene and ordered all civilians to leave immediately. Official explanations were confusing and contradictory. Initially, the government said nothing was found. Later, they said it was a meteor. Decades later, after FOIA requests, NASA suggested a re-entering Soviet satellite, Cosmos 96, but records show discrepancies. Many believe the official stories covered something extraordinary retrieved that night. Eyewitnesses reported Army personnel loading a large object covered by a tarp onto a truck bound for Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They watched it drive away, believed bound for Wright-Patterson in Ohio. The speed and intensity of the military response, the conflicting stories, and residents' testimony have kept Kecksburg in public memory. Eyewitnesses reported seeing Army personnel loading a large object covered by a tarp onto a truck. It remains a classic alleged crash and retrieval. Ordinary citizens glimpsed something extraordinary before it was whisked away behind official secrecy. The night of October 4, 1967, brought a different kind of UFO incident to the sleepy fishing village of Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia. Multiple independent witnesses, including a Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer, reported seeing 4 orange lights arranged in a rectangular pattern moving across the sky. The object tilted to a 45-degree angle, then plunged toward the harbor. It struck the surface with a brilliant flash and a loud bang, leaving yellowish foam bubbling on the water. Believing a large aircraft had crashed, witnesses called it in immediately. RCMP units arrived, local fishermen launched boats, and the Coast Guard joined the search. They found thick, sulfurous-smelling foam, but no wreckage, no bodies, and no oil slick. A single white light bobbed on the surface, then slowly moved out to sea. It submerged and vanished. The object was clearly under intelligent control, and now moving beneath the waves. Divers from HMCS Granby scoured the seabed for days. Official reports stated nothing was found, yet many witnesses and rescuers described a different story. Unofficially, the object was tracked underwater to Shelburne Sound, where it was joined by a second identical submerged craft. For nearly a week, naval vessels reportedly monitored the pair, but after several days they maneuvered and vanished into the deep Atlantic. Officially, Canadian and U.S. governments call the incident inconclusive. The Condon Committee labeled it one of the few truly unexplained cases. Barely a year after the world-famous Roswell incident, on March 25, 1948, a massive disc-shaped craft, nearly 100 feet in diameter, reportedly made a controlled landing in a remote canyon near Aztec, New Mexico. The story was first brought to public attention by author Frank Scully in his 1950 book, Behind the Flying Saucers. According to the account, the craft was found almost perfectly intact, a seamless light metal, impervious to damage, with no rivets, bolts, or seams. Large, porthole-like windows of an unbreakable, glass-like material reportedly looked out onto the landscape. Inside, the retrieval team reportedly found the bodies of over a dozen small humanoid beings similar to those described in later Roswell accounts. The interior was said to contain a control room with push-button controls and viewing screens. The level of detail captivated the public but drew intense scrutiny. For years, the Aztec incident was widely dismissed as a hoax. The controversial Majestic 12 papers later surfaced, and some researchers re-examined the case, suggesting a secret committee may have existed. Local residents recalled unusual military activity, lending a thin layer of corroboration to the tale. The Aztec incident remains contentious, a tantalizing, albeit unproven chapter in the saga of alleged UFO retrievals. Long before the word Roswell became synonymous with UFOs, a little-known incident may have occurred in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. The story emerged decades after the fact. It suggests the U.S. government's first encounter happened in spring 1941. Primary source Charlotte Mann said her grandfather, Reverend William Huffman, on his deathbed, shared a shocking secret from his time as pastor. He claimed he was summoned to perform last rites at a crash outside town and found a damaged, disc-shaped craft. Researchers later found a blurry archival photo that appears to show soldiers holding one of the small bodies. The photograph's authenticity is fiercely debated. Military personnel were already on scene securing and recovering the site. Huffman was reportedly warned and sworn to secrecy. He carried the secret for over 40 years, only telling family in his final days. If true, the incident rewrites the government's UFO timeline and suggests clandestine recovery programs existed well before Roswell. The ultimate prize in any UFO retrieval is not the craft itself, but the technology that powers it. For decades, insiders alleged a covert reverse engineering program was running parallel with retrievals to understand and replicate advanced science. The potential payoff is immense. Propulsion, material science, energy generation, communications. Witnesses from Roswell to Kecksburg described metals with impossible properties, incredibly lightweight, yet immensely strong, heat and impact resistant, sometimes showing memory metal characteristics. The existence of such materials could revolutionize aerospace and defense. Some researchers, like Colonel Philip Corso, claimed technologies recovered seeded civilian industry, fiber optics, integrated circuits, Kevlar-like products. These claims remain contested, but they form part of the popular narrative. Beyond materials, the greatest mystery lies in propulsion. Retrieved craft are consistently described as having no visible engines, intakes, or exhausts. They move silently, accelerate instantaneously, and perform maneuvers that would crush any human pilot. This suggests propulsion that manipulates gravity or space-time. Theories range from gravity drives to zero-point energy reactors. Some propose that black projects such as the rumored TR-3B are primitive descendants of such reverse-engineered propulsion, a human attempt to use an alien-derived advantage. The story of UFO retrieval is linked to a handful of highly secure installations. These are the fabled locations where wreckage and recovered occupants were allegedly taken for study. The most famous is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, long rumored to house the Foreign Technology Division and a Blue Room. Senator Barry Goldwater tried to gain access. General Curtis LeMay reportedly denied him, fueling speculation about hidden hangars. Secrecy shifted west to the Nevada desert. Groom Lake, Area 51 became synonymous with black projects. Whistleblowers like Bob Lazar claimed to have worked at S4, reverse engineering propulsion and elemental isotopes for gravity research. These secret bases represent the alleged black sites where the century's deepest secrets are kept under lock and key. Despite decades of investigation, witness testimony, and recently declassified reports, the core of the UFO retrieval mystery remains unsolved. We have a collection of powerful stories, tantalizing clues, and a persistent wall of official denial, recently showing cracks. We possess compelling accounts from military personnel, pilots, and intelligence officers, and official task force reports confirming encounters with unexplained flight characteristics. Yet we have no publicly available piece of wreckage for independent scientific analysis. Materials remain legendary artifacts rather than lab specimens. Whistleblowers like David Grush allege programs exist beyond oversight. Congressional hearings and task force reports have legitimized the topic but not provided final answers. Are there hidden hangars containing craft from other worlds? Has their technology been integrated into our own? The final chapter has yet to be written. Thank you for watching and for supporting my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, stay informed.